I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One. Thanks for logging on. Today we are looking at the original Vacheron Constantin Overseas, the reference 4240 423J, 37 millimeters in 18 karat yellow gold. You can see this Vacheron Constantin Overseas on our website, watchyouwant.com. Buy it if you like, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Watch You Want Inc. Now, the Overseas, it's hard to believe, is only approaching its 20th birthday next year in 2016. And I say that's a little bit of a surprise because it feels so natural, a design that was so right from the beginning that you get the impression that it's been around forever. In fact, it's only 1 year older than the Patek Philippe Aquanaut, but in that brief period of time, it's come to be regarded as a component of the essential triumvirate. The Patek Philippe Nautilus, the Remarkably Royal Oak Offshore, and of course the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. Now, this first generation model, arguably the purest example of the design, is 37 millimeters in yellow gold. It's only 9 millimeters thick, so it wears incredibly flat on the wrist. That's almost as thin as the 8.1 millimeter AP Royal Oak Jumbo, and it sits incredibly low. You can see, even though this is a sports watch and it is water resistant to 15 ATM, it will have no trouble clearing a low sleeve or tight dress cuff. On my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see that the watch has remarkably reasonable span. Now, 37 millimeters across the round portion of the case, it is nevertheless only about 43 millimeters from lug to lug. And the bracelet is wonderfully flexible, meaning unlike many integrated style bracelets where the flow of the links moves seamlessly into the lugs and the case swell, this doesn't have any feeling that it wants to billow out or swell beyond the flanks of the case itself. So there's no virtual diameter being added here by the stiffness, so to speak, in the links of the bracelet. The heft is impressive. You wouldn't expect a 37 millimeter watch to wear this massively, but it does. So the nice combination here is that you have a watch that wears well on a smaller wrist that has an iconic contemporary design, and it still has the heft, the substance, to reassure you that you're wearing something of the highest quality. Now, the quality is evident in the detailing throughout. I want to focus first on the bracelet and the clasp. You can see the complexity of this bracelet. First of all, the tolerances are outstanding. You can barely stick a hair through there. Now, the nice thing is the channeling on the underside, which is high polish and generously relieved so it doesn't pull hair, it doesn't pinch skin, speaks to the quality of the bracelet itself. I've never seen this level of polish for outstanding aesthetics and ergonomics on the inside of a bracelet. Now, on the top, you can see how facets are created by sort of carving two channels that run down the bracelet and create a partition between the outer links and the inner links. And from the top, you can see that those channels not only have depth, but they have a contrasting finish to set them apart. So from any angle, this watch shows attention to detail and beauty of execution. This is Vacheron Constantin at its best. You can also see the elegant taper of the bracelet, and just like the best Audemars Piguet Royal Oak bracelets, this one has no perceptible physical steps between the links. They taper so progressively, so gently with the hand finish that you actually feel like you're just moving your finger down a smooth surface, not a series of steps. Very impressive, but not even quite as impressive as this double deployant clasp. Now, 18 karat yellow gold, like the rest, it's one of the only examples I've seen. In fact, as I recall, it is the only example I've seen of a bracelet that features both a slider, you can see the sliding mechanism right here, and a clamshell closure. And you'll note the distinct finishing inside on every surface. Nothing is untreated, bare machined metal. It's as beautifully finished within the hollows of the clasp and the flanks of the swing arm as any part of the bracelet case or bezel. Very impressive, and you'll even notice the recurring motif of the Vacheron Constantin Calatrava cross across many components of this watch and its clasp. Now, as I close it up and turn over to the dial, you can see one of the elements that really distinguished the Overseas from the beginning. A beautifully simple dial. There's nothing here that's dated, cliched, or in any way shows its age. It looks as fresh, legible, and elegant in its simplicity as it did back in 1996. You can see, however, that the guilloche pattern is both fine and beautifully wrought. Carved gently into the dial, you'll notice at 6 o'clock it also features one of the last examples, this watch having been sold in 1999, of a sigma dial indicating gold indices across the dial. at bare minimum. Now, the bottom line here is that despite the simplicity, there's a lot of rich detailing, the crispness of the printing, the loomed elements outboard of the indices themselves. You can see there's just a sliver of luminescent material on the hands, which are 18 karat yellow gold, like all of the applied elements across this dial, and a very subtle rose lathe guilloche that's running vertically down from the top. The texture is beautiful, and it really animates the blank expanses of this dial. Although there are sort of negative spaces to balance the areas of print and detailing, there is no, shall we say, unfinished space on this dial. It's completely thought out, it's completely realized. And again, there is that beautiful Vacheron Constantin Geneva marquee curving with the arc of the case and the bezel at the top. And you'll notice the recurring Maltese cross motif in the bezel. The step of that bezel, which features contrasting polished and vertically brushed finishes, adds detail, texture, visual animation, and another layer of depth to the case. And again, like some of those great contemporaries, the Patek Philippe Nautilus and the Remarkably Royal Oak, the watch features a gorgeous hand-beveled flank along the knife edge of the case, so there's nothing sharp, nothing unfinished, and the taper from bracelet to case into the bezel is progressive, graceful. There's a lot of human attention invested in this watch. You can tell when you look at it in the hand, when you feel it against the skin, that this is not a machine-made product. And that's why I stress the importance of these textures, these chamfers, these contrasting finishes, because just as much as the movement inside, they represent high horology at its best and Vacheron's key competence. Now you'll notice screw-down crown with minimalist crown guards. It is a sports watch, and like I said, 58 ATM water resistant. It's also an example of something that's no longer available from the Overseas collection, which is a chronometer. Inside the case, and you can see the Overseas full-rigged ship on the case back, the classic image that's iconic of the line. Underneath there, you'll see a Girard-Perregaux caliber 3100, modified and improved by Vacheron as the caliber 1310. Now, this watch has COSC chronometer certification, so everything is of the highest grade inside. Not only will it keep chronometer time, but when you pull the crown, it will hack the seconds hand and permit precise synchronization to a reference time. Again, this is something that's no longer featured on the Vacheron Constantin line. It's a very thin and fine movement. That's why Vacheron's able to get this thing almost as thin as a Royal Oak Jumbo. Only 3.25 millimeters thick. The movement from Girard-Perregaux is considered to be along the lines of an ultra-thin automatic, almost half the thickness of something like a Rolex 3135. It's generally going to be somewhere between 40 and 50% the thickness of most of the mass market automatic movements out there, and it represents high horology in its own right, as Girard-Perregaux is one of the great, highly regarded manufacturers in the industry today. Now, 4 hertz, so 28,800 vibrations per hour, 27 joules, COSC chronometer rated, hacking, and ultra-thin automatic. This watch has it all. The durability of a sports watch, the precision of a chronometer, and the beauty of a Vacheron Constantin. You can see this Vacheron Constantin Overseas, reference 4240, 37 millimeters in 18 karat yellow gold on our website, watchyouwant.com, and you can gear up for the 20th anniversary of the Overseas in 2016.